There's a kind of lost that doesn't look like failure. It doesn't look like collapse. It doesn't look like chaos. It doesn't look like someone who has simply given up. It looks like someone who's functioning. They're competent. They're responsible. They're doing what needs to be done. They're moving forward, at least on paper. And yet inside, there's a thinness, a quiet question that never quite goes away. What is all of this for? And not in a dramatic existential crisis way, more subtle than that, more ordinary, more persistent. I've noticed this in myself as well as in others, in seasons where life is full, the calendar's packed, where progress is visible, where nothing is obviously wrong, and still there's a sense of being slightly adrift. It's as if motion has replaced meaning, as if activity has crowded out purpose. We live in a time that's very good at telling us how to live, how to improve, how to optimize, how to grow, how to stay relevant, how to stay ahead. But it's far less clear about why. Direction has been replaced by momentum. Calling has been replaced with achievement. Vocation has been reduced to productivity, so people become very skilled at moving, but less certain about where they're going. They become efficient, but not always oriented. And when a person is no longer sure what their life is for, sure, they can still function, but they begin to feel quietly lost. Not because they lack goals, but because goals are not the same as purpose. And not because they lack opportunity, but opportunity does not tell you what deserves your life. And not because they lack success, but because success does not answer the question of meaning. We're surrounded by signals that tell us keep building, keep growing, keep progressing, keep improving. But rarely are we invited to ask, toward what? Progress without purpose eventually becomes exhaustion. Growth without direction eventually becomes confusion. Movement without meaning eventually becomes drift. And drift is not loud. It's not dramatic. It's subtle. It's a feeling of living a life that is full, but not fully inhabited. There are moments where this becomes especially clear. Late at night, when the house is quiet, the phone is face down, the day has finally finished asking things of you. You sit there still, nothing urgent, nothing demanding. And in that quiet, something begins to surface. Not anxiety, not panic, just a question. Is this what my life is really about? And not in judgment, not in condemnation, in honesty. I felt this myself in moments where everything looks fine, and yet something in me is asking for alignment, not acceleration. Not more to do, but more clarity about what matters most. More listening, more orientation, more sense of God's ordering and not just my own striving. Because before we learned to design our lives, we learned to receive them. Before calling became something we constructed, it was something we listened for. Before success was something we chased, it was something that emerged from obedience. And when that listening fades, life doesn't fall apart. It just becomes busy. And busy can be a very efficient way to avoid the work of discernment, the work that asks what your life is meant to serve, what your life is meant to be given to, what it's meant to become. Spiritually, this is where the loss is felt the most, not in disbelief, not in rebellion, but in distraction. In a world full of activity, it becomes easy to live without listening, to live without regularly asking, God, what are you forming here? What are you calling me toward? What is the shape of faithfulness in this season of my life? And when those questions fade, life doesn't break, it just thins. Meaning grows quieter. Purpose grows less distinct. Days fill up, but direction blurs. And this is why capable people can feel quietly lost. They're not without direction in the practical sense, but they're often without a felt sense of calling. They know what they're doing, but they're less certain why they're doing it. They're advancing, but they're not quite sure what they're advancing toward. And over time, this creates a subtle weariness, not burnout, not despair, but a gentle erosion of meaning, a sense that something essential is missing, even if everything necessary is present. And here's the paradox. You can be doing many right things and still not be doing the right thing for your life. You can be faithful in effort and yet slowly drift from faithfulness in direction. Not because you don't care, but because you haven't been given or taken the space to listen. Reorientation, then, is not about adding more ambition. It's about returning to purpose. It's about recovering the question of for what, and allowing that question to be shaped not by pressure or comparison, but by truth, by conscience, and by God's quiet ordering. It's about letting your life be organized around what is worthy of it and not merely what fills it. Not everything that can occupy your time deserves your life. And not everything that moves you forward is moving you toward what you were created for. This week, I want to invite you to carry one question with you, not to answer quickly, not to solve, just to take notice. In the middle of your activity, your work, your responsibilities, your plans, ask, what does my life seem to be moving toward right now? And is this what it was created for?